So he's got me like grab underneath your rib cage and put your left hand behind your neck, and then twist here and breathe 6 times through your mouth, and then or 3 times through your mouth and 3 times through your nose, and then um a similar sort of delivery as emotional freedom technique, where it's like um basically thanking the fear and then letting the fear go, kind of a modality addressing the thing. And then the whole curriculum is free. Like you can basically educate yourself
Become a
and become a practitioner.
hmm,
And I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about how I can use this in my work with psychedelics to get
hmm,
people into their body, that sort of psychosomatic,
totally, dude.
when you're, before or even during or even after, to like let go of old narratives, or to, you know, um, connect with, archetypal symbolism, during a trip. So,
And Carpinteria. It's like a really, it's a very well known graduate school for therapists, therapy certifications, become an LMFT, become a clinical psychologist. There's various pathways. And right before I met Mike Tyson and started doing hot boxing, I was fully applied
uh,
to basically the last phase of the application process. And then this opportunity and what's going on at that nexus point, you know?
yeah, yeah.
And so I backed out of applying to that. But what I think I'm going to do is I started applying to Loyola Marymount, which has a non residency yoga therapy master's,
Ooh.
which I feel like is basically my mom did it like 3 or 4 years ago. She got her master's in yoga therapy and super in depth, changed her life. Was, it's deep Muay Thai also. But
Since I saw you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, literally since I saw you guys. And so that's something I can study and develop, in myself. But I also feel a calling to do some sort of, correlated furthering of my education, whether it's like the human garage certification, or getting
Can teach, you can host, you can learn, you can pop in at a jiu-jitsu gym, where, Texas or California or Lake Stevens, Washington, while you're doing your thing. I mean, I fully support you in that, because we're we should be learning. We should all be students of this life. And if there are certain, certifications or certain, paradigms that you want to nail down, mixing that together with your
hypnotized by it.
sure.
There's this like disillusion with that, and a much more innately healthy approach to it, which I find fascinating.
Hmm.
Like the governance of it hasn't been what you might think it was, where I've got to be like, take the phone away at the dinner table, like we never have issues with that,
That's great.
and it's an interesting thing to think about. We're being told to do it, and that's safe, and we can get our chips, and we can do our thing. We can keep the family going. We could keep the progeny moving forward. And then take all of that, and then if you apply some ancient wisdom, which is the the journey of the soul or the spirit, is to seek liberation. A lot of these topics. There's a great meme that I've seen circulated, which is what you thought the rebellion would be and
Mhm.
it's like kicking the door in with the automatic rifles, and the rebels in the streets, taking the country back. And then it's like what the rebellion actually looks like, and it's just a family,
Hmm.
a father and a mother and their kids walking into this green paradise,
Yeah.
you know and mix are because we're allowing it.
Right.
And for as long as we allow it, it'll be a thing. And I think what we're seeing right now with Trump, with Bobby Kennedy, with this rise, there's this thing building in politics of the status quo. We've come to an end, man. We got to start doing things a whole new way.
Yeah.
The old way isn't working. We're no longer we no longer consent to the way ancient, is it ancient? I don't know, all of these just more human ways of being, growing our own food, getting to know our neighbors, developing a tribe through jujitsu or through shooting guns or through your yoga community, like building a community of people who you can fucking lean on.
Hmm.
Shit goes down, you got a tribe of people. I talked to Greg Lappin, so Greg Anderson's partner in the Guns and Geese. These guys are
Yeah.
amazing guys. Everybody
Amazing.
listening, check
Amazing
these guys
guys.
out, dude. But I had this conversation with Greg Lappin about being prepared. Like, what do you want to have? If shit goes down, what do you want to have? And he's like, well, you get this kit. Like, I've got my go bag. It's filled with like 3 days of food. It's got a firearm. It's got some ammunition. I've got a full tank of gas in the car. But he's like, beyond that, dude, you want to have the fucking tribe.
Yeah.
Because when we have a tribe of people that we can lean, just being a subject to some some governmental body, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's fucking really interesting time, dude. I know we've talked about that before, but it just gets more interesting.
It's weirder and weirder.
Did you post that Terrence McKenna thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Just it keeps getting weird. Yeah, I'm
Hmm.
gonna read the quote because this was in my news. And for those of you who don't know Terrence McKenna, you're listening now, so you probably do. Psychonaut, biologist, um, you know,
Philosopher.
philosopher, the Bard McKenna. Just like every utterance was just fascinating and profound. Here's
Yeah,
the
very
quote.
deep, dude.
It's only getting weird. It's only going to get weirder. The level of contradiction is going to rise excruciatingly, even beyond the excruciating present levels of contradiction. So I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder. I think the thoughts, the thought paradigms, the things that we took for granted, the institutions that we thought we could trust and that we thought that we got figured out, the reliability of information, to the point, to your point about, the younger generation, like maybe not being that into social media because they can see that it's not that additive to their life.
Mm.
The emergence um of AI that's going to be another major shift and go, would have seemed like a movie is just Tuesday, you know? It's just like, oh, ex-president gets shot in the ear and stands up and shakes his
Oh,
fist and
this-
fight. And then the sort of social media villain, uh, leader of the villain of Facebook villain comes out and talks about how badass that was. It's like, yeah, that's kind of
in a way that people can access it, and starting to, you know, formalizing the business, which
yeah,
is not my strong suit.
mine
I'm
either.
not, dude, I mean, I'm not a business guy, but I'm learning, and I recognize the if we're going to make a living out of how we live, you
Mm.
know, we've got a lot of tools, and technology provides us with a lot of tools and opportunities to do that.
He's 6 months ahead
Mm,
of what we kind of know is public sentiment.
mm,
He's getting out ahead of stuff now, and some of the masks are coming down. Some of the some of the myths are being rewritten.
mm.
Like
Yeah,
everything's changing, and it's changing so fast, and it's so fucking weird that we can just expect it now. We can just expect that next week there's going to be something bizarre, something, some disclosure going to be okay.
yeah,
And I think we all need to prepare for things to move even faster and things to get even weirder and to keep our cool.
yeah. Again, dude, adversity is adversity.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, just prepare yourself in uncomfortable situations. Coming back full circle, dude. That's the antidote, man.
Yeah.
Just get really good at being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
'Cause it's gonna be
Is for longer form conversations to kind of let these ideas kind of trickle into the sort of collective unconscious. Like these ideas are worthy of long, thoughtful conversations because you're thinking it and I'm thinking it and we're talking about it in our groups. And so if you don't have access physically to that group, or you're not exposed to some of these conceptual ideas about change and about adversity and about preparation and about service.
some teaching at an event, co-hosting it with my buddy Jared Picard. I've done a couple podcasts with Jared, and he's just an amazing human being, founder of a company called Be Here Farm. Everything's biodynamic. Really, he's a wizard, alchemical wizard, and he curates the absolute best events I've ever been a part of.
Mm.
Um, so that'll be at our property in Texas, which will be great. I'll be teaching yoga and Britton there. Tuning into the summer solstice, the winter solstice, fall and spring equinox. There's a lot of spiritual information that comes in just becoming aware of these cycles that we're a part of, that mainstream culture is not tapped into, and even shifted or dislocated off that center point. So like when we look at summer, when we look at the beginning of summer in our culture is actually like the midway point.
Right.
But so doing that event, then I don't have a Heal and Flow on the calendar yet for 2025, but stay tuned. I mean, if you follow me on Instagram at EDS Britton, all of that information will be put out as soon as it's available. And then yeah, finally the thing that I'm most excited about, and that's a constant process and gets constant energy and attention, is my mentorship group called Life. And everything I'm doing, I got it up there so you can stay up to date that way. And appreciate you, man. I'll also, got my podcast, The Ebb and Flow, which is always there for people to tap into.
Yeah. Well, you're doing good work in the world. The service that you've chosen to provide to people is much needed. And to finally meet in person and to spend a weekend together was really important for me, really impactful, and I'm super grateful for it. And so, if go research.
Absolutely, dude.
Sweet.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Ab. See ya. Executive leadership, and it's like if you can convey really high quality information, you've made a lot of mistakes, you've learned a whole bunch, and you want to spread that to the world, go for it. We need
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah. No doubt, dude. No
and
doubt.
we got to stay you're right. We have to stay studying. I'm only now 2 years really into, a decade ago, I was doing jujitsu intermittently and keeping those antenna tuned to the right next opportunity, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Your intuition knows kind of what the next thing will be, and with the right organization or with the right sort of paradigm. But I think the human garage stuff, I think, would be an excellent addition to what you're already doing.
Yeah, it totally would. I mean, it makes complete sense. Um, on that note of what the jujitsu has done for you, I was thinking this morning, I went to a Bikram class, 6 a.m. Bikram, 90 minutes, totally enjoy on the mat, you know? And like the second day or the first day that I rolled with Greg and he put me in the fucking balloon.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, I have no idea what to do here. Like, I have no idea how to maneuver this. But I was just laughing. And
Yeah.
his wife commented to him later that night. She was just like, man, it was so meant to be. But the other part of it, man, is that I've spent the last, I mean, basically my whole life, if we really want to get down to it, spent my entire life getting really good at being with adversity, you know? And adversity, the thing that came to me this morning was adversity is adversity. Whether you're in a chokehold on the mat in jujitsu, or you're in a 109-degree room with 50% humidity, or you've got a greater capacity for discomfort, unease, conflict. You've got a greater capacity for conflict.
Yeah.
And it's like, what greater power could we possibly cultivate than
Yeah.
that, you know?
I, y- we have to schedule it.
Yeah, yeah, we have to.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
because if you're not scheduling that adversity, and Greg has and so if we're not super intentional about, and I think it's every day, and this is cold plunges, this
that's
is
it, bro.
postures,
It's
and
every day is the
it's
thing we miss,
it
you
has
know?
to be every day.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's every moment, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think and it's an important thing that's always going to resonate with people, whether they have gone into that or committed to that adversity in a regular basis or not. It's always going to be sucks, and then your job sucks, and then your life sucks, and then you recoil and hide and eat shitty food, and then it just spirals out.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt about it.
It
We've
was
done
so
we've done that enough.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that goes nowhere. That goes nowhere fast.
It really does. It really does. You just, at what point, all of us at various stages, and then one day you just go, I don't like the way I handled that. And I especially don't like the energy that came into the room when I did that, or this look on my daughter's face, or this tension I feel in my relationship, you know? Okay, let me try something different. But
Yeah.
how? Where do I start? And I think
Yeah.
it's this,
Yeah, I think it's this.
you know? It's that that we necessarily have to fucking kill ourselves or punish ourselves. But if we look at it as your road to ascension or your road to freedom, and you redirect, you change your perception of it, your perspective of the adversity that you're willingly going into, whether it's the jujitsu or the ice tub or fuck the sauna or the hot yoga. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever it is, or the plant medicine, if you look
I
at,
haven't run in 10 years and you're inspired by David Goggins to go, suck it up. And and it's like, well, shit, he just ran 100 miles. I can go walk a mile. Damn, all right. And then that kick starts it, then that begins that process. And I think that the extremity of that, I think hopefully works as a catalyst for some people who need need the intensity in order to begin engaging, who didn't play professional sports or college
yeah,
sports.
yeah, totally. I think you're right on the money. I mean, it's interesting that Earl Nightingale, who's like he's the mentor to Bob Proctor.
Hmm.
So in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, Earl Nightingale was the guy. He was the ultimate, he was the Western spiritual motivational guru for being the best version. Like Earl Nightingale, Bob Proctor, who takes the spirituality and applies it to the life of modernity, where
Yeah,
we're trying to build a business and we're trying to, how do we take all of our human potential and actualize it in the material realm and do something with it,
that's it.
you know? Because, hey, man, we can all go and live in a temple and meditate all day, but can you be clearly so peaceful,
Mhm.
so comfortable? We have, like never before in the history of the human race, had such an opportunity to experience love and gentleness and relaxation. And so the thing is that we've we've been distracted out of, or we've lost sight of, or because of the convenience, we're at this stage where, okay, we don't have to go and hunt the buffalo and bring the buffalo back to the family to eat, but we have to still do hard things that keep us strong, that keep us vital, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, probably it was definitely for me the coming to jujitsu, the coming to Muay Thai, just this desire to be super capable.
Yes.
I want to be super capable, man. You're going through life and you're just praying that you never have to deal with an altercation, or you think that you'll just know what to do,
Right.
or and the military guys, I brought this up with Greg, the military guys say this thing that you'll fall to the level of your training when
Yeah.
disaster hits. So, like, how well trained are you? That doesn't mean
Right.
we have to be fucking doomsday preppers, but it's important. It's an important element of our
The modern day reality that our ancestors dreamed of, where they didn't have to work sun up to sundown. They could relax in the middle of a Thursday and
yeah.
talk to their buddies. Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah, dude.
contrast that with the esoteric knowledge, the mysticism, that is more, I think, in a lot of ways more suited for saffron robes and contemplation.
Mm,
And it's like, one day I was talking to her about this experience I had in meditation, and I was like, I just got this like insane download about this and about that, and it was like amazing. And I saw my guides, and I know what they look like, and they were telling me this. And she's like, one thing you need to ask yourself is, how is that useful?
mm, yeah.
How
Yeah.
is that useful? And I've thought about that a lot since then. And this was probably in 2008.
Mm,
Thing with it, if you don't act in service with it, to teach others, to hold space, to be more present in your job with your, with your partners, with the people that you serve, then it's just something, it's just
Yeah.
it's just a cool idea that lingers there. And so if it's not applied, the same knowledge that of preparation and self-defense, or esoteric knowledge, or spiritual insight, it's like, well, what do you want to do with it?
Mm.
And it's easy to do nothing with it.
In the last week or so, maybe couple weeks, which has been in the last couple weeks reflecting on the last couple years, where I feel like I rewrote the programming, and I've been in a little bit of a, not necessarily a rut, but there is a sense of, you're developing yourself, when you're purifying yourself. You rewrite the code, you rewrite the whole program, and then you start operating in a new operating system,
Yeah.
and that's uncomfortable
Yeah.
and discombobulating. And you're going, fuck. Uh None of that stuff that I was doing really feels good anymore. But
Mm.
where do I go now? And so in the last couple weeks, I've been asking myself, what's getting me up every morning? I'm going to drink my water with lemon and salt. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do breath work. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get my body and my mind and my heart clean. And then I got clean. And then it was like, okay, the movie keeps going. Now
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Right.
Now what? Uh, and so the old, I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm presented with and surrender all the other stuff, man. Surrender the notoriety or the fame, surrender the money, surrender any fruits, surrender any people thinking I'm a fucking super wise guy, surrendering all of that stuff, man, and just letting it be about being in service
Hmm.
to everyone in my life. I'm in this interesting situation right now. I've moved to Texas, but I'm back and forth to LA because my 12-year-old daughter lives here. Family dynamics, feeling like a little kid again, all that stuff. There's all sorts of interesting nuances of psycho emotional energy that I'm constantly working through, or that are constantly present. And what I've come to is like, dude, fuck all that. Fuck the griping. Whatever the thing is, my brother took my shorts. Somebody ate my steak in the fridge. They're taking my cell,
Yeah. Right. Right.
or just showing up to you know, just being present, doing heal and flow for the sake of providing this service rather than it's my business,
Right.
going. And that's what this last heal and flow really reminded me of. I was like, because you turn, as we do, man, as we turn our passion into our profession, and then it becomes this whole other thing. Let it be of service. Let it be in
Yeah.
service to whomever and whatever is involved.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you said that word and you brought that up, and because it's this thing that I'm like, this is what it is for me, you
Yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just practicing now for the last 3 or 4 days, going, I'm just going to make a decision to be in service to everything that I have going on today,
Yeah.
you know?
Listening to this are thinking, well, it is better to give than to receive. And it's true. It's so true. And guess what happens when you give and you give and you give and you give and you give, you receive and receive and receive and receive, and then you can give more. And then the universe says, hey, he's doing it. He's doing it. Let's send him some more cool shit.
Yeah, exactly.
He's doing it. That's a good thing.
Exactly.
Like he's making a positive impact on the people in his life. He's being of service. I'm reminded by, it's like it's almost this Ayn Randian sort of like producers and consumers concept
Mm,
where, you know, Atlas Shrugged really gets at the heart of, the kind of two types of people, especially within commerce, with people who get shit done, they move the ball forward, they innovate, they create value, they give of service, and they're torn down for it. And bureaucracy gets in the way, and
mm,
it's overcome, and that it's easier and easier to consume and harder to produce,
mm,
and especially in the realm of the non-physical, like in the
mm.
chosen work of your path to be of service. It's concepts, it's
Right.
experience, it's teaching, it's a feeling, it's a vibe, it's
Yeah.
healing, it's flowing. In my case,
Profoundly impactful. And it's like, you know, in the vein of what you're talking about, how do we value that? And I think we're in a mode, we're in a time where the value of it is being seen.
yeah,
It's really being understood, and oh wow, yeah, changing how you look at things, changing how you operate is actually, that's the quintessential journey in life. It's like, how do we change how we operate so that we spend a lot of our time in our life thinking that it's good enough, or that's too much, I could never do that. How many times do people say, oh, I can't do that, or I could never go and speak in front of people, or I couldn't, I couldn't start my own business, or whatever, just because you have this idea of what life is for
yeah,
whatever reason. It's good stuff, dude.
was an energetic
Hmm.
field to mix with other people who
Yeah.
are on that same wavelength.
Yeah.
And and so to be there in person with you, to be led through um chanting and meditation and yoga and education around the central nervous system, which was super fascinating. And I learned a whole bunch in the conversations around the central nervous system
Sweet, dude.
I mean, it's like it's the type of Greg, and I know that he shared this with you too, is he's so used to leading
Yeah.
all day, every day. He leads class, he leads the podcast, he leads his family. And so for him to show up and be led was like, I felt like a kid again.
Mm,
There was such a good feeling to step out of, okay, I'm not in charge here.
mm,
I don't have the microphone. Nobody's looking to me for answers. I'm going to be led. It just makes me excited because I've shared with you briefly and I haven't elaborated too much on it, but I'm, in the midst of creating a mastermind, a retreat for really high performing people. And I just learned a whole bunch. And I don't think I've said thank you enough for that. But
I love that, dude.
there's gonna be so many people that would benefit from attending your events. It I watched people transform over those course of the couple of
Feedback, and I love that it's inspired you and what you're building, and like looking at it and how you can bring it, one step closer to fruition. And I think that the in-person stuff is super important, like you said, to feel other people's energy, to be seen, to be heard, to listen, to
Yeah.
gain, to recognize that you're not alone. Like the first yoga like wellness retreat, I'm not by myself here in the dark, just twiddling my fingers, creating fantasies about what's going on in the world and what my life is all about. There's an entire army, tribe of people who are on this wave, that are looking at life in a new way, in a different way, that are interested in whole new experiences, a whole new way of being, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a really empowering thing, because all of a sudden you go from, oh, I'm just the weird black sheep. Don't look at me like I'm still just kind of a snot-nosed kid, rather than take me seriously and talking about these ideas, or thinking about what food I'm eating, or the fucking, what's the quality of the tap water? Is it just full of chemicals? And choosing grass-fed over conventional. And oh, sweating's a really important thing. I got to exercise and I want more peace in my mind. So how do I do that? There's all sorts of people. There's millions. Well, maybe I'm a different person. Maybe I've hit critical mass on this way of being. And that's
Yeah.
okay. And that doesn't mean anything like, I'm going to become a fucking Bobby Kennedy fan, which seems like hilarious to me that people are even skeptical of him. I don't really understand it.
Oh man.
But it's really, it's just a sign of how much people are holding on to their conditioning that's built on a lie, you know, and conspiracy theory, and mainstream television as the the trusted resource, you know.
Yeah.
And then let me just let me just go through the motions, because that's what a good little boy is going to do.
Right.
let me get let me get the degree. I'm going to just get a steady job, start a family. We'll find God on the weekends when we have the 6 pack of beer and watch football.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. I think it's because that's what they were taught. I feel like they didn't have access to the information that we started to have access to younger and younger.
yeah,
The sort of structures and mechanisms of the economy and sort of corporate interests lended itself to you go to school, you get married, you get a job, you work at the same job until you retire, you get the Rolex, you don't have to work anymore, and you follow the about culture and nutrition. It's fascinating to hear what a 92 year
interesting.
old
I'm gonna
woman,
have to check those out, bro.
they are they're good.
I
And
bet.
I've just opened it up to the rest of the family to submit questions that I can ask for. Cousin Tyler wants to know, Norma, how did you manage your money, etc. It's just really cool. But she and I've watched her shift over the last couple of years because I too was the black sheep. I went generations. I think it really started with sort of Gen X, who's like, don't tell me what to do.
Hmm.
Don't I'm not going to do, fuck you. I won't do what you tell me, as like a theme for, the sort of late 40s and early 50s-year-old people. It's shifting, and it's no longer a virtue to be obedient. And when
Hmm.
people are obedient and when they do follow the herd, we see where that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I definitely see it, man. I mean, like talking about my daughter and her friends, there's a clarity that has been made possible, I believe, through the technology that these kids have. I heard something, there was some, this is like secondhand information. that being said, it's a trusted source who had read an article that researcher, you know, and I thought that was a really fascinating thing. And I actually see it. I see how that's possible with my daughter, who, you know, through the divorce we went through a couple of years ago, my ex-wife and I, we decided to get her a phone. She's got no social media, but she can text and message with her friends and us. And, you know, she's on Pinterest and does no YouTube, like nothing.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
We've got it. We're pretty fair and we're strict. And I think a really healthy